What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Emphasis on Sports. I'm your host, Damon Anthony, and what we do, we kick it about sports. All right, so we're almost done with Week 9 of the NFL season. We got Monday Night Football tonight, Bucks at Chiefs. I expect the Chiefs to take this one down. No shade to the Bucks, but the Chiefs, they just look like a team that knows how to win. That defense is hidden. They look all right. All right, but let's talk about what we saw on Sunday, what we've seen thus far in Week 9, because there has been a lot of different things. Earlier today, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Dennis Allen, was relieved of his duties. This is something you can kind of see coming. He had been brought in there, as a defensive coach. Defense has looked good for a couple of years, hasn't really looked that good this year. The team started strong this year, nosedive. Understandably, there were some injuries, but just haven't looked like a really good team. Lost to the Panthers yesterday, which nobody really should be losing to be honest with you. That's the type of stuff that gets you canned. Good luck to him on his next spot. I'm pretty sure he'll probably take a DC position next year. Because the guy is really solid at defense. So that was one of the big things that happened just today. Some of the other ones we'll talk about as we go through these games as we dig through. So first game we're going to talk about from yesterday was the Falcons beating the Cowboys 27-21. Saw this one coming, knew the Falcons were going to win. Not only were they at home, but Dallas just doesn't really look like a good team. They don't. Maybe some moves could have been made in the offseason, make them a little bit better. But currently, as constituted, they just don't look like a good team. Dak Prescott also got injured yesterday, and he's going to be out for a couple weeks. CD has a AC joint sprain. He may be back next week, but we know Cooper Rush is going to be their starter at least for a couple weeks. That doesn't help Dallas at all, but to be honest, it really doesn't hurt them either because they have not looked like a good team. Other side of the field, Atlanta, they're looking like they're going to be the team that's going to represent the NFC South in the playoffs. They look really good. Kirk continues to look better and better and better every week. I remember a couple of years ago when Darnell Mooney got drafted by the Bears, and there was a lot of talk about him, a lot of upside. We're finally seeing that potential now. He's looking like Kirk's guy. Nothing to take away from anybody else, but we're seeing some emergence out of Darnell Mooney, and that's kind of cool to see. So the Falcons are going to be doing their things. We may see some dirty bird action, right? Then we had the Bills and the Dolphins. This one was closer than I think expected. Bills did take this one down 30-27. Real good game by Tua, good game by Josh Allen. This was just a good AFC East matchup style game. Really love to see this one. That Dolphins offense looks so much better and so different with Tua. Could be a little too little, too late situation. And with Josh Allen, right pregame, Amari Cooper was ruled out. Keon Coleman still getting his feet under him in the NFL, but Josh is showing that he's a good leader and he can roll with the punches and roll with that team. Bills they're scary. For me, they're the top three teams in the AFC. Definitely top three teams in the AFC. When you had the Bengals beat the shit out of the Raiders. Bengals took this one down 41-24. Game wasn't really even that close. Bengals, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. I called Bengals to win this game. Raiders also not a good team. We're starting to get into those teams since we're past the halfway point that you're either in that running or you're just out and you're ready for next year. Raiders are one of those teams that's ready for next year. Burrow had 5 touchdown passes yesterday. They continue to look like just a real solid team, or at least a team that's growing some. Now the Bengals, they could definitely make a run at getting in the playoffs. But we're going to talk about a little later. That's not going to be as easy, I think, as anyone could think in the AFC, especially. There's scary hours out there when you're talking about playoff position and a jockey, and I'll tell you that. Then you had the Chargers at the Browns. Chargers took the Browns down 27-10. Now, I kind of, coming off of last week, Jameis looked good against Baltimore. I'm still shaky on the Chargers, and I still am today. kind of expected more out of the Browns, but I think I kind of forgot that there's two sides to Jameis Winston. He's going to have those great games, 300 yards, 400 yards, and he's going to lay a dud every now and then too. The Chargers, to me, they just look like a well-coached team. They don't look like the greatest team out there. I don't expect a ton of success out of them this year, but they're a team that's growing with their new coach, with their new attitude, with their new systems, all of those things. So this wasn't the biggest shock in the world, but I did expect a little more for the Browns. But the Browns are now one of those teams. You're ready for next year. Get ready. Be looking at the draft now. Now, my I don't care game of the week for week 9 was Patriots Titans. This one actually ended up being a competitive game down the stretch. But this is also two teams that are equally not great, not good. They're just teams. They're both teams that are building, trying to get their future right. So fair enough that no one really cares about this game. But this one did go to OT. We did see Drake May lead the Patriots down to the end of the game, do a little shifting, a little dipping, a little dodging, tie it up, go to OT, and the Titans end up taking it home. So, hey, hurrah to the Titans. You're not going to win that many more games this year. So now a team that is a surprise, just to be honest with you. No one can say that it's not a surprise. Even the fans of this team would not have expected for this team to be where they're at. The Washington Commanders went into New York and beat the Giants 27-22. Now, the Commanders, listen, they're 7-2. Jaden Daniels is looking impressive and more impressive every day. Right now, he's the leader in the clubhouse for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he's in the conversation for MVP. This Washington team was not supposed to be sitting atop the AFC East this deep into the season, and they are. Now, on the other side of the field, the Giants, they suck. That's just what it is. Daniel Jones, he's an NFL quarterback. It's pretty much all I could say there. But they definitely do not look like a real solid team. They're not going to scare anybody at all. Meanwhile, the Commanders, only thing that they can do is get better and better every week and learn from their mistakes and experiences. And if that's what they're doing, look out. They're going to make some noise. They're definitely going to make some noise. It's reminding me of that RG3 time, when there was that RG3 period, when they were the name that they were before the last name. Man, they were scary. They were real scary. You couldn't walk into a game with Washington and just feel like you're going to beat up on them. Wasn't going to happen. Then we had another game that was just ugly, caused the coach to get fired. Panthers beat the Saints 23-22. And really a come from behind at the end victory. We did see Chris Olave go down with a brutal hit. There's been a lot of noise and a lot of people talking about potentially David Carr led him into that one. Don't know. Derek Carr, I'm sorry. Don't know. I'm not going to put that out there on anybody. I've never played quarterback. I really don't know. But that was a real brutal hit. And the Saints, they suck. The Panthers, we already know that they're not a good team. They're absolutely building. New quarterback. They don't know what their new coach. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback. I think it is a good time just to go ahead and let Bryce play, especially under a new system with a new coach. Let the chips fall where they may, because it's not like they're going to the playoffs. But yeah, Panthers, congrats on the second win of the season for y'all. Then Ravens Broncos. Listen, Ravens, I knew the Ravens were going to win. Thought it may be a little closer. Ravens 41, Broncos 10, and this was, big. This was a blowout pretty early. Just from all things that you saw on the field, the Ravens right now, they to me look like the best team in the AFC. People may fight that and say that the Chiefs, they're undefeated, and I know that. I get it. But I'm just going off of what I see with my eyes. What King Henry and what Lamar are doing back there in that backfield is ridiculous all the way around. Lamar looks like he's going for another MVP. Henry, he's looking like he may be in line for an MVP, if not Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, homie might hit that 2,000-yard mark, may go over that by a little bit. So it's real interesting to see what's going to happen with Baltimore as they continue to go and to grow. Now for Denver, don't be upset. Don't ain't no crying in this one. Ain't no. It's all right. Denver continues to be a team that is building, and you could see it. Yeah, they went up against Baltimore in Baltimore. Great team. All the things you want to check off. They had to see what they could do against that kind of team. They did get beat up pretty bad, but they'll be all right. I believe that they'll be all right. I don't think that they're going to go on a run or anything this year, but you see that they're going in the right direction, and that's always a plus for a team that's been kind of down for a couple years. Then you had the Jags and the Eagles. Eagles win this one 28-23. The highlight of this whole entire game, of this whole entire day, Saquon Barkley with his reverse hurdle. Listen, I've never seen that in football, in live football. I've never ever seen that. That shit that you see in a movie or on a video game. And Saquon Barkley, ridiculous. That was just awesome to see. Awesome to see. Um, Now, the Eagles took this one down 28-23. Main problem here, there's the shakiness, I believe, with coaching. Listen, you win 28-23, the game should never have been that close. There shouldn't have been a reason that Jacksonville's not, they're shitty. They're not a good team at all. That Jacksonville even had a chance in that game. And it came down to the Eagles getting a pick in the end zone. Fantastic for them. But it should have never been there. Should have never been there. Also, I think everyone needs to sit and look. AJ Brown may be actually hurt. There may be more going on with him than we know. But Eagles took that one down. Then the Cardinals and the Bears. Cardinals at home beat the shit out of the Bears 29-9. Listen, I hate to say it. I'm an NFC West guy. This Cardinal team, they're getting better every week. The last couple weeks, there have been some walk-off field goals. This one, they put their foot down and did their thing all game. Cardinal team they look all right. They look kind of dangerous. Can't run from the truth. Can't. Now with the Bears, you got to protect your young quarterback. That's the biggest problem. Caleb Williams was back there getting mauled, whether getting hurried, whether having to, stay on the move, all those things. That was the problem. And kudos to the Cardinals because they were putting that pressure on them. So if they can't get that done with the Bears, this is going to be a good year for Caleb to see. And they have a hell of a division that they're playing in, but you got to get some protection on it. Arizona, you keep doing your thing, and you may find your way into the playoffs. We're going to talk a little about the playoff picture. It's going to be tougher in the NFC West than most other divisions, but hey, Arizona, you're looking like you could do it. You look like you're earning it. Then you have the Lions walk into Green Bay and win 24-14. Now, this one, there was a lot of bad weather, a lot of rain. Of course, it's in Green Bay. Detroit's only playing a couple games outdoors this year. One of them will be at the 49ers, second to last game of the year. But with this one, I think a lot of people thought that, the weather was going to help the Packers and kind of bring down the Lions. The Lions, they're kind of showing everybody we are ready. We are that team. I really, truly hate to say it. I think it boosted the Lions a little bit when they lost in Santa Clara in the NFC Championship. They have a chip on their shoulder that that you can't say isn't there. They look damn good on all phases of the ball. Coach Dan Campbell, he's doing his thing as well. No one could say anything about Detroit. They really look like they are the best team in the league. Now, of course, Kansas City can say something about that. Of course, some of these other teams may say something about that. I'm going strictly off of what I'm watching. I'm watching a team that right now is dominating. They actually remind me of the 49ers just last year. The 49ers, they kind of dominated all season. They had a few hiccups when Purdy went down. Not when Purdy went down, but Purdy had lost some guys. He lost Trent. He lost Debo for a couple games. So they lost a couple games. Understandable. Get that. And then they got beat up by the Ravens on Christmas. Ravens, fantastic team. but they look like a team all year that you kind of knew they're going to be in the Super Bowl, kind of that team of destiny shit. Detroit looks to me like the team that's going to represent the NFC for the Super Bowl. I could very well be wrong, but I'm just calling it like I see it there. Detroit looks like they're ready for that next step. And just me as an opposing fan of a team, I'm nervous about them. Won't lie to you. Can't lie to you. I'm nervous about them. They look good. They really do. Then we had the Rams beat the Seahawks 26-20 in overtime. So now this is where things also start to get a little shaky in the NFC West. The NFC West, almost all of those teams are right around each other when it comes to the record. So there's going to be a lot of tiebreakers, a lot of head-to-head things, and all of that. The Rams are looking like a team that respond. They had some injuries. Now they're bouncing back, and they're just going to continue to get better and better, which could be scary in the NFC West. The Seahawks, on the other hand, they're looking like a team that may just be about to bottom out. We'll see. But hey, we're at that point in the season where get it together or you will get left. Then we had last night's game. Minnesota Vikings beat the Colts 21-13. Definitely saw this one coming. Vikings are at home. Vikings play very well at home. They have a great home atmosphere, great home crowd. You know, everyone out there, skull, skull. And Indianapolis, I mean, I think a lot of hope was heaved on Joe Flacco because of what he did last year with the Browns. But I don't think people really realized last year with the Browns. Yes, he did great, but he also threw a fair amount of picks. So seeing, kind of what went on with that game, listen, Flacco's okay. He's a fine quarterback. AR needs to learn from someone. But Minnesota, they did their thing, earned their victory. I want to see what happens with Minnesota as the season rolls. They started off great, lost a couple games. Now with this victory, maybe they're back on track and they can get right back into that big time contention in the NFC North. We'll see. So now let's talk a little bit about what the playoff picture kind of looks like right now, because the playoff picture is real interesting in the AFC and the NFC. So right now, the playoff picture in the AFC, you're going to have Kansas City as the 1 seed, Buffalo as the 2 seed, Pittsburgh as the 3 seed, Houston as the 4 seed. Then 5, 6, and 7, you got the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Broncos. You got a lot of teams sitting out there still staring in. Now, if you actually look at all the records, those are the only 7 teams with winning records. Everyone else has a sub 500 record. In the rest of that conference. We know the Bengals are going to try and make a push. That's the one team, when I look at this, that could make a push. A lot of these teams, Tennessee, Miami, Cleveland, Jacksonville, Vegas, New England, 2-win teams. You're through. You're through. The Jets, I know a lot of people are going to want to see if the Jets can make that push. They're 3-6. I believe they're through. I think the only team out of those top 7, the only teams outside of that top 7 that have a chance to even fight for playoff seeds is going to be the Colts and the Bengals. Let's see how they do. Let's see what they do. Time's ticking. Time is ticking on that. All right. In the NFC, it gets clunky around a certain area. But number 1 seed is going to be the Lions, then Washington, then Minnesota. I'm sorry. Let me go back over that because we're a little out of order here, aren't we? All right. Number 1 seed will be the Lions, then Washington, then Atlanta, then Arizona, then Minnesota, Philly, and Green Bay rounds out your top 7 teams as far as playoffs go for the National Football Conference. When you look at the teams 8, 9, 10, 11, all of those teams are 4-4. You got the Bucks, you got the Bears, you got the Rams, you got the 49ers. Makes it tough, makes it scary. Now on the outside, I believe looking in, Giants, Saints, Panthers, 2 wins apiece. Cowboys, 3 wins. Seahawks, 4-5. It's going to be tough. This is going to be a really interesting look at the rest of the season and how this unfolds. We do have teams that I believe are done, but where there's There's some war to be played. If you look at the AFC North, Pittsburgh 6-2, Baltimore 6-3. There's going to be a dogfight there to take down that division. Buffalo, they're 7-2. Next team up is 3-6. I think that one's a wrap. Houston, they're 6-3, but we know they've had so many injuries. They could fall victim to falling back a little bit. The only thing that helps them is the closest team to them is 4-5. It's the Colts, and they have their own issues. Then you have the AFC West, where there's a little bit of a shock because there's more teams than the Chiefs there, right? So those teams are stepping up. You got the Chiefs. They're currently 7-0. Of course, undefeated. They look great. But behind them, you got the Chargers that are 5-3. You have the Broncos that are 5-4. These are teams that are growing, that they're going to play spoiler to some of these other teams, and they're going to hurt some feelings down the stretch. Watch what I tell you. Now in the NFC East, the Commanders are a whopping 7-2. The Eagles are 6-2, but the Commanders doing what they're doing and being a real great team at this moment. If they continue this, they're going to hurt. They're going to break some hearts in the NFC East. The NFC North, you got the Lions sitting there at 7-1. Minnesota 6-2. Packers 6-3. Chicago is 500, and they're going to be a team that's going to hurt some feelings down the stretch too. But the Lions, they continue to look like that team of destiny to me. I could be very wrong, but I really think the Lions are going to be such a tough out when the playoffs come. NFC South. Right now, the Falcons are showing that signing Kirk Cousins was the move. They are 6-3. They're rolling. They look really, really good. Bucks, they're 4-4. They have their game tonight. Let's see what happens. Do they go above or under 500? The rest of that division, they're already out fishing. Both the Panthers and the Saints, 2-7. Get them out of here. In the NFC West, this one I think is going to go down to the end of the season. Right now, the Cardinals lead the NFC West with a 5-4 mark. But the Rams and the Niners are right behind them at 4-4. And Seahawks are pulling up the rear 4-5. So everyone's real compact, right close to each other. What's going to happen there? Down the end of the season, there's going to be a lot of head-to-head matchups. May the best team win. May the best team win. All right, y'all, man. That's all I really got. That's a wrap. Week 9 will be in the books tonight. We'll get back together, talk about that. Been such an interesting just weekend of NFL action. It's fantastic. Tomorrow's also the trade deadline, so let's see what happens. I know there's going to be some movement. Let's see if there's any big players. Let's see if the Lions happen to pick up anybody. Let's see if the Niners end up picking anybody. Who knows? But really looking forward to it. So until we meet again, be good or be good at it, and I will holler.